Well, hello and ni hao. Welcome back. 欢迎回来. This is Seafaring Sunday with Johnny Tiger and Kitten. Uh, we are in this kitchen that is like sub-zero temperature right now. Got a new swamp cooler. So if I don't think the hum would be too bad on the microphone, but if it is, then forgive us. It's something new we are trying out. Uh, so this has been a very busy week. A lot of stuff happening, a lot of things to take care of. So I've been neglecting the videos a little bit, and I know, some people reflected that hey, you haven't done an action figure review or martial arts stuff for quite a while, and yes, and haven't done music for quite a while. Uh, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. It's um summertime. There's a lot of projects on the go, a lot of stuff happening behind the scene. Quick little reminder for those of you who are local, my artworks are still being shown at the Richmond Annex Gallery, and they will stay there until September 14th. So if you have not been there to check out the Zodiac Crossroads series, then you still have some time to go check it out. Also, I have started a blog page. Let me give it a quick plug. It's johnnytigerexperience.blogspot.com, and you can find a lot of my personal musings and some action figure reviews and really quirky photos and stuff like that over there on my blog page. So if you miss me and haven't seen some new video update and you wonder what I'm up to, more likely is that I have updated something on the blog side of things because honestly, it's faster for me to write something than to do a whole video sometimes. So this episode was actually meant to be Wisdom Wednesday, but like I said, a lot of things were happening, so things kept getting pushed back and pushed back. Um, when Wisdom Wednesday didn't happen, I thought, oh, I'll do a True History Thursday, and True History Thursday didn't happen. I was like, okay, you know what, Seafaring Saturday, and Seafaring Saturday didn't happen though, so now we got Seafaring Sunday. But hey, at least we are here, and today we are going to talk about a very impressive person, a very impressive chapter of Chinese history that many people, unless you grew up in Taiwan or China, unless you grew up and studying Chinese history, you may not know of this person. Now, when we talk about some of the famous explorers and people who that go out there and explore the world, people always say, "Oh, Marco Polo." People say, "Oh, Ferdinand Magellan, Columbus," right? Like Ferdinand Magellan and Columbus, definitely two of the most talked about, like granddaddies of explorers and uh, people who go out there and get all up in other people's business. Yeah, like, honestly, when you think about it, like when you want to put it kindly, they were explorers, but when you want to really call it bluntly as what it is, they were out there taking things that were not theirs. Um, However, the person I'm going to talk to you guys about today was earlier, started exploring the world earlier than Ferdinand Magellan and earlier than Columbus, and at a much, much larger scale. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about a Chinese guy by the name of Zheng He. Now, Zheng He was not his original name. The name Zheng He was born with was Ma Sanbao. Ma Sanbao. Some people, because of that, call him the Sanbao eunuch. Yes, Zheng He was not an ordinary person. Zheng He was a eunuch. If you guys don't remember what a eunuch is, eunuchs are men that work for the emperor, and because they had to work in the palace, they got castrated, right? They got chopped, yeah, dismembered. So they were like he she before he she were even a thing. Um, Now, why do I say that Zheng He really is the granddaddy of all explorers? And number one, Zheng He was exploring the ocean with his own fleet as far back as 1405. So quite a bit earlier than Columbus, quite a bit earlier than Magellan. Um, I think Marco Polo might have been earlier than Zheng He, but Marco Polo really, when you like, he wrote really good stories, but he wasn't an explorer. And Marco Polo traveled with his dad to China and then did some business in China and then went back and told some interesting story about China. Most of it he made up. So, so to call Marco Polo an explorer would be a gross exaggeration. At the best, he was a very well traveled merchant or a storyteller. So, Zheng He, being earlier than Magellan and Columbus, make him sort of their forerunner, their forebear, and also the fleet that Zheng He was in command of when he explored the ocean, when he explored the world, was really, really big, like a lot bigger than what Magellan had or Columbus had, even though he was before their time. Um, Also, Zheng He went forth to explore the world 7 times in his lifetime, 7 times. Okay. Um, just to put it into perspective, how big is the difference between what Magellan was, what Columbus was, and what Zheng He was? Okay, when Ferdinand Magellan went forward to explore, he had 5 ships under his command and 90 men. Okay, 5 ships, 90 men. That's like hardly anything. Okay, when Columbus went on his voyage, he had 3 ships and about 50 men. Okay, so Magellan had 5 ships, 90 men, and Columbus had like 3 ships and about 50 men. When Zheng He, okay, this eunuch, this Sanbao eunuch from the Ming Dynasty, went forward with his fleet, he had over 40 ships at his command. And get ready for this number because it's really crazy. The amount of people in his fleet under his command was 27,800. Oh my gosh. Okay, this guy went forward to explore the world with 27,800 people under his command. That's not exploring. That's like conquering. Now, even when you take into consideration that China has a lot more people than other countries, that's still a huge difference, versus Magellan's 90 people. Not only that, historical record shows that the command ship Zheng He himself was on was roughly the size of a small aircraft carrier today. Okay, so back in 1405, this guy's like traveling the ocean with 40, 50 ships, and his command ship was about the size of an aircraft carrier, and he had 27,000, almost 28,000 people with him. That's like an entire army or an entire navy all on its own. Okay, and he did it 7 times. This is why I say, like, when we talk about explorers, and when I hear people say Magellan or Columbus, I say, yeah, go back a little bit further and look at that China guy, China man. Yeah, there was a Chinese guy, a eunuch, not even a regular person, a eunuch that commanded 28,000 people in a fleet of over 30, 40 ships. And he explored the ocean 7 times.
That's a lot of mouths to feed.
Which is a really good point because a lot of historians said Zheng He and his exploring of the world directly contributed to bankrupting the Ming Dynasty.
Oh,
Every single time he set forth with his fleet, the emperor would lose a lot of money in the process, because of so many people, so much supply and stuff like that. Um, but why did he do it? Why did the emperor continuously send Zheng He forward to do this when it was a big expenditure of money? Well, there were two reasons. Number one is to promote trade with other countries. Um, at that time, China had basically the highest uh, earning in any country in the world. And China was, well, like some people, when they get really, really rich, they kind of want to go out and look for things they don't have. You know, we we bought everything there is to buy here. Let's go further and see maybe there are things that we don't have. Well, that's where China was at that time, at that point, the Ming Dynasty. Uh, we had a lot of silk, we had a lot of copper, silver, gold. We had anything we wanted, but we didn't know what else was out there. So the emperor sent Zheng He forward with his fleet so he could explore other cultures such as Saudi Arabia and African countries and other Indonesian countries and Philippines, so he could bring back maybe something they had that we didn't. And good thing that he did because a lot of stuff you have in Chinese food today was thanks to Zheng He bringing them back from other cultures, primarily hot pepper. Yeah, prior to Ming Dynasty, prior to 1405, when Zheng He set out on his exploration of the world, there's no hot pepper in China.
oh wow.
Yeah, so he was single-handedly responsible for hot pepper. Um, Another thing that I actually have to believe I mentioned this in the previous episode, mahjong, the game of mahjong, was rumored to have been started during Zheng He's uh, exploration because some of the sailors were going a bit crazy.
Okay.
A lot of fights and a lot of people getting sick and a lot of boredom and a lot of mental sickness. And so Zheng He said, well, we need something for people to do on this long, long journey. One of his underlings who was actually from India. So, well, in the old, in India, we played this game. We use different blocks. We carve different words and onto blocks, and we use them to play these very intricate games. So Zheng He commanded his people to start carving mahjong blocks and started having this officer teach the game to the sailors. So the sailors are the way to occupy themselves on this long journey. So uh, both hot pepper and mahjong were a direct result of Zheng He's exploration of the world. So that was the first reason, was to promote trade. The second reason was that at that time China was well, essentially the most powerful country uh, in, if not in the whole world, at least in Asia. So China or the Ming Dynasty, the Ming Emperor wanted the other countries to know how about the power of Chinese people, right? I mean, when you really think about it, if you just sit there all powerful and stuff, and no one know how powerful you are, that doesn't really do anything because a lot of people will still think they want to come and take what you have, and they come and attack you, and yes, you will kick their butt, but that people will die. There's still the fighting and all that stuff. It's a lot of hassle to defend yourself against some stupid other country that want to take you over. So it's much better if you can send out a fleet so big and so impressive and have this fleet go around to every country and say, hey, look, this is just one of our fleet. Hey, do you really want to attack us?
Yeah.
Yeah, this way you don't need to fight them. You just basically walk around showing your muscle and they back off. So that was the second reason why the emperor sent Zheng He and his fleet forward so many times, was to basically flex their muscles to let the other country know, hey, we are here. We are very strong. Don't mess with us. Trade with us. Don't mess with us. Sadly, like I said, Zheng He's exploration of the world cost so much that it essentially bankrupted the Ming Dynasty.
Boy.
Um, this is why, from the last voyage, after his last voyage, the Ming Dynasty, the Ming Emperor had to basically cancel the sea and navy program for China, and all the way for the next 500, 600 years, all the way into the Qing Dynasty, the Navy program in China has been very weak, very small, because they never were able to rebuild it to the standard that Zheng He's fleet had, because of how much money Zheng He and his fleet cost the country. So during the Opium War, about 600 years later, when the British people were able to trounce the Chinese Navy so easily, it was because of that. So you can say that Zheng He and his fleet, while impressive, was instrumental in causing the downfall of Chinese people during the Opium War. Okay? So just a little bit of like cause and effect. Like I'm pretty sure Zheng He, while he was traveling, exploring the world, feeling like the biggest man around, never thought that he would cause his people to be humiliated 600 years later because of how much money he spent. So let's backtrack a little bit because we've been talking about how impressive Zheng He was and his fleet was and all that stuff, right? So let's backtrack a little bit. Who was this Zheng He, this Ma Sanbao, his real name, Ma Sanbao? Who was this guy and why was he uh, chosen to represent China and lead this giant fleet to go explore the world? What did he have that other people didn't? What was his story? Okay, Ma Sanbao was born in northwestern China around 1371, and at that time it was at the very beginning of the Ming Dynasty when the first Ming Emperor was still trying to secure his borders and uh, put down all the rebellions and all that stuff. So there's a lot of war, a lot of fighting. Ma Sanbao and his family, they were very rich, high class Muslim family. They were not Buddhists, they were Muslim. They came from generations of uh, Muslim people. And at the time, They where they live was not part of the Ming Dynasty uh, jurisdiction. They were still more closer to the uh, Mongolian people, to the Mongols. Uh, so fast forward to when Ma Sanbao turned 11. Okay, so uh, 1382, around that time, 1382, 1383, when he was 11 years old, finally the Ming emperor sent the imperial troop to the town that Ma Sanbao's family was in and say, hey, the Ming Dynasty decree that you guys have to become part of the Ming Empire. You guys are part of the Chinese people. You have to be with us. You're either with us or against us.
Oh.
Well, don't forget, most of these were like Mongolian descendants and Muslim people and other tribes descendants. So obviously they did not want to become part of the Ming Dynasty. So they put up a fight. They put up a fight, and even though Ma Sanpao was only 11 years old and he came from a rich family, but because they didn't have enough warriors, he got drafted. He got sent forward with the other people, other warriors, to fight the Chinese military. Well, no surprise there that 11-year-old Ma Sanbao from a very rich family, pretty sheltered for most of his life, was no match for trained Chinese imperial soldiers on a battlefield. So he got captured. And at the time, there's a very inhumane practice. If any captive by the Chinese military, if you were not Chinese, you would be castrated.
Oh.
So yeah, our 11-year-old Ma Sanbao, after getting captured, got the chop chop treatment, and that ended his manhood basically. After that, he became a slave for the imperial Ming army and followed the army as they went forward to put down more rebellions and really secure the borders around the Ming Empire. Even though he was only 12 years old, 13 years old, and he was effectively a eunuch because he got castrated, he quickly gained the uh, attention of some very high ranking generals because they realized that this is not just a peasant boy. This boy had education, very smart. He talked about maps, he knows how to read maps, he knows about tactics, he knows about command. So he quickly rose from the rank of a slave to regular soldier and to officer, and gradually he became the personal uh, advisor for the Chinese emperor. He started traveling with the Chinese emperor and helped the emperor with all the uh, daily stuff and all the uh, organization of the various tasks. Uh, when he was 17, 18 years old, he already became the head eunuch in the imperial palace. He had the control of all the other eunuchs that work in the palace. And it was around this time the Ming emperor started uh, talking about, we are so strong, but we should send a fleet out to see what there is to see and to check out the other countries. Let them know we are here. Let them know about us. Uh, who should I put in charge? And this was a great opportunity for Ma Sanbao. Um, by this time, he has got renamed to Zheng. A little trivia: if you were given the family name Zheng by the Chinese emperor at the time, that was a big deal. That almost made you royalty. So there was quite a few people during the Ming Dynasty that their original name was not Zheng, but they did something really good for the emperor, or the emperor really liked them, and they got renamed to Zheng something something, Zheng something something. So Zheng He, our Ma Sanbao, have gained the emperor's trust and got renamed to be Zheng He, meaning that he's as good as royalty. Now, as soon as Zheng He heard that the emperor was thinking about sending forward a fleet, he volunteered his service because, as we mentioned, Zheng He was came from a Muslim family. Alright, the Muslim for generations, their one goal was to one day go to Saudi Arabia and go to the mosque at the holy place at Mecca. Okay, so some of you don't know, Mecca is like the most holy places for any Islamic pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia. There's a stone in Mecca called the Black Stone of Mecca, that is probably the most sacred stone in the world. And every day, like 6 million Muslim uh, during prayers, try to face toward the location of Mecca and where this black stone is, and pay the homage to this stone. It's a really, really like, I'm not from that religion, so I can't give you all the details, but it's a very big deal. So for generations, uh, Zheng He's family were in China. They were Muslim, but they were in China. And so none of them ever had a chance to actually go to Saudi Arabia and go to the mosque in Mecca to actually pay to do their pilgrimage and stuff like that. So all the while he was growing up, Zheng He or Ma Sanbao had this dream in his head that one day he was going to take a boat and go to Saudi Arabia and stand at the Black Stone of Mecca to realize his devotion. So when he heard that the Ming Emperor was wanting to send someone to uh, take a fleet to explore the world, this was his golden opportunity. All those years of studying maps, all those years of studying astrology and weather and seafaring and boat and ships and command, all those years of dreaming and fantasizing finally became reality. So he volunteered himself, and because he was such a favorite person of the emperor put him in charge of this gigantic fleet, almost 28,000 people under his command. Um, with his command ship, he had some of his ship carry food, some of his ship carry supplies, some of his ship carry trade goods like silk and uh, uh, cutleries and potteries and uh, stuff like that. And of course, some of the ships carry warriors. Um, Not all his sailings went smoothly, of course. I'll give you guys a couple of interesting little stories just to show how powerful Zheng He's fleet was and how powerful Ming Dynasty was at the time. There was one time when Zheng He and his fleet went ashore in an island near what is today Indonesia, but at that time it wasn't Indonesia, of course. So him and his fleet docked at one of the islands near Indonesia, and just happened when they were docking, there were two local chieftains, two local tribes were at war with each other. So there's like the West tribe versus the East tribe, and the West tribe was kicking the royal butt of the East tribe, and chasing the East tribe all over the place. And at this time, Zheng He and his fleet pulled into the harbor. And well, the West tribe, they didn't know who these guys were. They thought these guys were part of the East tribe. They thought these guys were here to help the East tribe. So, quite by accident, they wiped out Zheng He's landing party. So Zheng He sent 170 people to go explore the island. That's his landing party. And they didn't even get a chance to see what was what, and they got killed by the West tribe on the island. Well, you can imagine Zheng He, he commands at 28,000 people. He's not going to sit there and not respond to that. So he gathered his warriors and they stormed the island. And when the West tribe chieftain heard that, oh no, we killed some Chinamen. These were people from the Ming Dynasty, and we killed them by accident. He took his daughter, the two of them, and then went to Zheng He's command ship and kneeled down in front of Zheng He and asked for forgiveness. They found out who were all in the party that killed Zheng He's landing party, had all those people executed, and brought their head to Zheng He. And even after that, Zheng He took the chieftain all the way back to China with him. So the Ming Emperor could give this chieftain a piece of his mind. The Ming Emperor told this chieftain that, well, even though it was an accident and your people killed my people, we still need to punish you. So by the end of this year, I want you guys to bring me 60,000 ounces. 60,000 ounces of gold. Okay? 60,000 ounces of gold. Otherwise, we'll invade you and wipe you out. And then they sent a ship and took the chieftain home. By the end of the year, the chieftain, who was effectively the leader of the entire island by this time, no matter how he tried, I mean, this was a small island. There's no way he was going to get 60,000 ounces of gold. He was only able to put together 10,000 ounces of gold. And he took those 10,000 ounces of gold, put them on the ship, and he himself went with the ship to back to the Ming Dynasty, back to China, to see the Ming Emperor and say, "I'm so sorry. This is all we have. The entire island. We are bankrupt. We don't have any more gold. This is all the gold we have. Okay? If you think this is not okay, then go ahead, kill me. Kill me and my family. Because there's nothing else we can do." The Ming Emperor laughed in his face and said, "You think I really care about your 60,000 ounces of gold? Here in China, we have so much gold that if we want to, we can put together 9 million ounces of gold in one day. I told you to bring 60,000 ounces of gold to teach you a lesson, okay? Just so you know how different we are, okay? So, well, it's good enough that you put together 10,000 ounces. Go home, be a good leader to your people, and in the future, try not to attack people that come onto your island." So this was one of the true historical accounts, one of the stories from Zheng He's exploration. Um, Another time when Zheng He and his fleet docked at Sri Lanka, again at that time wasn't called Sri Lanka. Uh, when they docked at Sri Lanka, the local king of Sri Lanka decided, oh, these Chinese people must be here to invade us. Look at how many ships they have. Look at how many trade goods they have. If we can defeat them, we can keep all their money. Bad idea. King of Sri Lanka mustered all his forces and tried to ambush Zheng He's fleet. Okay, I mean, ambushing someone is so cool when you're planning it, but when you're talking about ambushing 28,000 people, even if you succeed at first, you're not going to be able to win this one, right? Because all you do is piss them off. So, needless to say, the ambush failed. Zheng He's entire fleet took over Sri Lanka, uh, took over the capital city, executed the king, and then they took all the noblemen, all the royalty from Sri Lanka, put them on a ship, sent them back to China. And basically, once they're in China, the Chinese emperor looked at them and said, "Oh, okay, well, your king is dead because your king made a bad decision. Which one of you is going to be a better king?" And in the end, the next king of Sri Lanka was appointed by the Chinese emperor, and he had them sent back to Sri Lanka, made a trade agreement that every year Sri Lanka have to uh, bring so much good to China, and that was that. So these two stories illustrated how strong Zheng He's fleet was. Like basically the entire time, they all 7 times they traveled the world, no one came close to threaten them, and they were pretty much unstoppable everywhere they went. Now, technically speaking, the exploration came to an end after voyage number 6, because after voyage number 6, the old Chinese emperor passed away, and the new Chinese emperor, the new crowned prince, became emperor, and he decided that, oh, this Zheng He taking this fleet go tour the world is such a waste of our money. So he shelved the whole fleet program. He basically canceled trip number 7, and Zheng He was sent home in retirement. However, about 7 years after the voyage number 6, in 1433, the emperor changed his mind. He said, we it used to be really good. All those other countries, Philippines and Indonesians and Sri Lanka, they used to send women and gold and food and exotic stuff every year to please us. But ever since we stopped sending fleet around, that kind of went away. They stopped coming to us. So maybe maybe I should get Zheng He out of retirement and send the fleet forward one more time, just so he can go remind these countries, hey, you guys haven't come say hello for a while. So the emperor went and pulled Zheng He out of retirement. This is 1433, 1432, 33, and say, hey, I know you're retired, I know you're getting old, but I need you to make that voyage one more time. Okay? Go to all the countries that you visited before and remind them that we are still very strong, and they need to continue to send us good stuff. So the giant fleet that was shelved for 7 years was put together, and Zheng He, now getting older, was put in charge on voyage number 7. However, as soon as they left China, Zheng He decided, you know what, I'm getting old. This is probably going to be my last journey. So the hell with what the emperor wants. I am going to do what I want. So Zheng He turned the entire fleet, didn't go to Sri Lanka, didn't go to Indonesia, didn't go to Philippines, didn't go anywhere, went straight to Saudi Arabia. And finally, on journey number 7 in 1433, our elderly Zheng He realized his life's dream. He stood at the black stone of Mecca in Saudi Arabia, the place where millions and millions of Muslims want to go. And him and his family have been dreaming of going for generations. On journey number 7, he took his giant fleet. They went to Saudi Arabia and he did his worship right there in Mecca. And then on the way home, Zheng He got sick and died on the way. So it's almost like he knew that he didn't have long to live, so he didn't mind defying the emperor. He said like, no, I did this 6 times, and I'm going to do this one for me. So there you have it. Those are the uh, story. That's the story of Zheng He, probably the most impressive, one of the earliest explorers of the world. With his giant fleet, he traveled the world 7 times, realizing a personal dream to go to Saudi Arabia to worship at the mosque in Mecca, and at the same time brought a lot of trade goods, a lot of uh, exotic stuff into Chinese culture, while as far as economy goes, the exploration, the fleet was a big failure because it bankrupted the country. But I think, like many things, there were good and bad. And was Zheng He very impressive at the time? Definitely. I mean, shit. I don't think he has ever came close to being matched in the scale that he traveled the world in the entire human history. Thank you for checking out today's episode. I hope you guys had fun. Um, we'll be back again for more Johnny Tiger goodies whenever we get around to it. I do have a lot of cool action figures that I got lined up to photograph and review. And don't forget, check out the blog, and we'll see you later. 再见。
谢谢大家。